this presentation, you're going to learn about computerized adaptive testing, or the CAT test as we call it, and how this works. This is the same type of exam that you'll be using to take NCLEX, and we'll start preparing now. So here are some of the objectives, the things that you'll look at, that you'll understand how it works, that there's a variable length. It's depending on the user. It's all individualized. There's some content balancing and some stopping rules. And they'll talk about some changes in next generation NCLEX. So what is adaptive testing? Adaptive testing means that the test adapts to the users. So users with high ability get more difficult items, but they have to take fewer questions. Candidates with lower ability get fewer difficult items, but they have to take more questions to demonstrate their ability to understand the content. Every time you answer an item, it changes your statistics. And so items are not really, really easy or really, really difficult, but they do go back and forth. And every time you get an answer correct, you get a more difficult item. Every time you get an answer incorrect, you get a less difficult item. The goal is to get as much information as possible about your true ability. That's why we're starting with this practice exam. When you answer more items, the computer re-estimates your ability. And so they're looking for a certain ability to understand all the content based on your answers to the questions. So here's an example, Next Gen NCLEX CAT. So if you'll look here, see they got this one correct. It gets a little bit more difficult. This one correct, then they got one incorrect. So now it starts getting lower difficulty. And so then here they got this one correct, so it starts getting more difficult. This is the passing standard. So they need to have a certain number of questions up here above the passing standard. And so that's what they're looking for. And so the blue dot is the items administered. The black is the ability estimate. And you need a 95% confidence interval here. So it's not about how many you get right or how many you get wrong or what percentage you're looking for, because they'll be different for each student. There'll be variable length, variable content, but the exam stopping rules are the same. So let's talk about variable length. The number of questions depends upon the ability. The shorter length exam is 70 operational items plus 15 pre-test items. The longer length exam is the ability is close to the passing standard, so they have to take more questions. 135 operational and 15 pre-test items. So the pre-test items are in the gray, as you see. Case study scenario items are in yellow or orange, and then the standalone items are in blue based on percentages. This is if you take the minimum amount of questions, and this is the maximum amount of questions. And this number here is 18 because you have 3 case studies, and the case studies have 6 questions. Now they're based on the clinical judgment model, which we will go over throughout the semester, but this piece is really what you need to know. So there are 6 questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 cognitive operations that the nurse goes through when making decisions. So first one is recognize cues. So in your case studies, your first question would be recognizing cues. Second question would be about analyzing cues. Third question would be about prioritizing hypotheses. Fourth question would be generating solutions. Fifth would be taking action. And 6th would be evaluating outcomes. So that would be all over one specific disorder. So like maybe congestive heart failure or stroke or diabetes. And then they would go through these 6 cognitive operations in that order with all 3 questions. And no matter how many questions you take, you will be getting 3 case studies. So that's what this refers to. So when you go to the test plans, you'll get, you'll get 3 case studies and up to 10 standalone items within your NGN items. And then you'll get some other regular type test questions, what you're used to as well. This is the breakdown, the percentage of items, and for the RN test plan. The content balancing is determining the content area that differs most from the plan specifications. And that helps to identify items in the content area and select an item with difficulty that matches the student's ability estimate. Item type is not part of the selection algorithms. So performance is only reported as a pass-fail. So you won't get a specific score on your NCLEX, and you won't get a specific score on your CAT test. So don't look to make, I need to make a 95% on my test. That's not what this means. It's a 95% confidence interval based on how many questions you answered that was above the pass line. And so at least 70 operational items have been answered within the 5-hour exam time for stopping the exam. So either you achieve the confidence interval, you've taken the maximum amount of tests, or you've run out of time. So you've got 5 hours. Stopping rule number 1 is the confidence interval. So the exam continues when the confidence interval straddles the passing standard. Each exam stops when the confidence interval is clearly above or below the pass or fail. So this is a sample chart again. And so this is a fail because here, see, very seldom did they get above the logit, 0 logit. So that's what they call it. It's measured in logits. And here they passed because they took the test, and then here they're evaluating, but several of them were right on the line, very few were below the line. So they have a 95% confidence interval between one question and the next, so that person passed. Stopping rule number 2, maximum length. Candidates with abilities very close to the passing standard may receive maximum length examinations. And after you've answered 135 operational items, the computer disregards the 95% certainty requirement. The outcome depends on your final ability, on whether you're at or above the passing standard and pass, or below the passing standard and fail. So this is the maximum length pass chart. So after 70 questions, now it's looking here to see how it goes, and this person passed. Stopping rule number 3, run out of time. So that means it took you longer than 5 hours to take the exam, and if you're below, it just dictates where you are at that point and whether you're pass or fail. See, on this one, when they ran out of time, they were above, they were on the pass, so they passed their exam. This one was down here on the out of time, so they failed. In summary, they select items for the person taking the exam. Again, I can't reiterate, everybody always asks for a score. What score do I need to get on this CAT to know that I'm doing well? All you need to do is look at your weaker areas, and then that tells you what to study on throughout the semester to prepare best for the NCLEX, and turn your growth areas into strengths, and then you'll pass the exam. It's all about pass or fail. And that's all for the CAT test.